Once upon a time, I found myself floating inside my head, passing by one thought after the other. As an artist trying to come up with another drawing, figuring out what I want to capture next. As a writer, creating a structure for my next video, or try and find ways how I could further nourish the world inside my book. As a human being, struggling with fear, doubt, and ambition. Yet despite seemingly overflowing with thoughts, it felt surprisingly empty. It was like being in outer space, all these stars penetrating the dark mantle of the universe, this vast place with millions upon millions of planets, yet so hollow at the same time. There was only little room for change, and everything felt the same. But this wasn't a question of whether I lived a monotone lifestyle or not, but more so about growth. Making videos, drawings felt like ticking off a daily to-do list, which might be totally okay if I'd be employed in a big corporate facility with the main focus on automation. But I'm not. The premise of each project was different, but the execution almost always the same. I thought perhaps a little bit of experimentation could get rid of that feeling, but it seemed to only infuse more chaos. I had an issue that went so deep it broke the very foundation I stood on. Looking at my life in general, you were able to draw a parallel to the way I work and how I function in society. I found myself saying things or acting in a specific way repeatedly without understanding why. Whether it was an unpleasant reaction triggered by somebody saying something, an argument where I desperately defended my position despite understanding that I am wrong, or something as simple as growing irritated over another person's behavior. I was aware of all that, but only when I observed it happening over and over again, causing altercations from time to time, have I realized that my existence has been flatlined. So I tried to figure out the cause of this obstacle that prevented me from developing myself as a human being, and I came to the conclusion that it all came down to asking a question. Not too long ago, I have watched a movie called Monster by Hirokazu Koreeda that fits very well to the topic of questioning oneself. We follow a plotline that is being told through the eyes of three different people who all know each other but tell quite a different tale of each other through their own eyes. As the viewer, you have no choice but to make up an assumption based off of the facts and behavioral patterns presented, and despite me and my friend who watched the movie with me knowing that there was something more to it, we subconsciously judge these characters according to given information. I would consider both of us very careful at crafting opinions, but it was somewhat of an inevitable abrupt reaction to the story. It was a fascinating experience because in a way the movie held up a mirror, showing just how quick you can jump to making up an image of somebody else. It shows the complexity of us and how important it is to question everything, because through that we can potentially avoid hurting other individuals, including ourselves. Before diving deeper into the creative and work-related aspects of questioning oneself, I'd like to share just how much this constant introspection has impacted my personal life.
Сколько тебе лет, сыночка?
To not go too deep into the matter, I think a perfect example would be my very volatile and complicated relationship with my father. It is very easy to hate somebody than trying to understand them, which goes for both him and myself. When I was approximately 6 years old, we got separate, and ever since I lived with my mother only. I was left psychologically traumatized over years and had a million reasons to not talk to this person ever again. But growing up, seeing that a potential healthy relationship was possible, I decided to try and understand how, by first of all fixing myself through constant questioning and observing, receiving answers that posed as a proper way of handling my struggles, as also questioning the behavioral pattern of him and trying to see why certain things are the way they are. And fast forward a lot of years later, I have barely any struggles with him. The relationship is repaired through effort, and neither does my trauma affect me as much. Questioning myself, my actions, my thought process has given me answers to my struggles with doubt, which I have made a thorough video on, and now I'm not so easily affected by a potential mood shift caused by lack of sleep, for example. It's not just being self-aware, understanding why something is the way it is, but also seeking an answer as to how to potentially fix given obstacle. Observation plays a big part here, and you could almost view it as a skill that one can develop to notice certain things much faster and much more accurate over time. I could have continued living my life very straightforward, damaged, distracted through constant exterior stimulation or deliberate ignorance. But because I made the decision to take a step back and observe and question, I have grown positively. Now, as to what goes for work,
What in the holy mother of optimization is this performance?
What is that smell?
What are you to... Oh, heavens to Betsy, that must be my graphics card.
Perhaps if you'd pick up a book you could avoid frying that thing.
What the f...
Poor lad's holding on to his last bits.
Don't worry, he's seen worse.
Well, once you delivered the final blow, I sure hope you won't come crawling to me to have a look inside my purse.
Yo, purse, big man, you spend half your income on your ass.
I will not tolerate such lies under my roof, you insolent...
Hold on, you hear that? What the f is that?
Perhaps it wasn't your graphics card that has seen the 7 layers of hell, but your brain.
You're telling me you can't hear that?
By the gods, what?
The music, big man. Why is there music playing?
You mean that? That must be Jimmy playing around with his new tool.
Of course it's Jimmy. Jimmy, come in here. Yeah. Jimmy, what the f?
What do you mean?
Turn that off.
But our dialogue, it will flatline.
Explain yourself.
Well, you know, I just watched a video and the guy said how important music is, so I figured I'll try it out.
Alright, but why play it while I'm talking to Big Man about my PC's desire to shut off?
Well, we all want to be authentic, right? You, me, Big Man. Well, maybe not Big Man, but point is, to be authentic means to trigger emotions, and the only way to fully invoke those feelings is with music.
Wait, hold on. Did you just fade in? Jimmy, you motherfucker. Give me that. Jesus.
Well, for what it counts, I found myself crying many a time to certain titles. No sound or melody, just my wheezing and Berserk's eclipse. Your stupid Berserk.
Alright, look, brother, I don't know what the you watch, but have you ever considered giving it some thought? There are a lot of people talking a lot of on the internet. Besides authenticity, motherfucker. Big man, get out of bed. We about to do some squats. Lord in heaven.
I'm ready. What is that supposed?
You see how manipulative that is? Sure, it can trigger some emotion, but does that necessarily correlate with your notion? Look, music is a very delicate matter that can either nourish or completely destroy your work. If you need music to leverage whatever it is you're doing, maybe you lack sound design, atmosphere, dialogue, so many other things that play into making something actually authentic, gripping, memorable.
Well, I haven't seen it from that perspective.
Of course you haven't. You believe everything Peter with a PhD tells you.
What can I do? The guy made some good shots, okay? Now, I don't know. How am I supposed to know what's right and wrong?
Look, Jimmy, there is no right or wrong, okay? We are all influenced one way or another. It's just very silly to portray something as fact when it's quite obviously not.
Alright, Thanks.
Don't sweat it. You somewhat remind me of myself, you know? I've been there, okay? I'm not alone in this. At least you didn't start yapping about making everything look cinematic. Anyways, you wanna go fry my graphics card?
Now, to avoid marching into complex territory, I'll only mention this very briefly. Questioning yourself can give you the opportunity to figure out a lot about yourself, how to conquer struggles, grow creatively, etc., etc., but the final result is completely dependent on your experiences, influences as a person, and just how far your observation goes. You might ask yourself what makes a great YouTube video, a great film, a great song, and answer that question with work that accumulated a high viewer rate and stop at that very moment. Whether that conclusion will reflect positively on your mental health and relationship to your work life and the work itself is another thing, which makes it so much more important, especially if you are a creator on the internet, to thoroughly think through what you put out into the world, because there are people who are very gullible and presenting certain things as facts despite them being either completely subjective or even factually incorrect is plain stupid and irresponsible. I could tell you how questioning yourself is the answer to this and that problem, that you will most certainly have this and that experience, that you'll belong to the 1% of special people. Instead, I share my personal experience and show what has helped me and might potentially do the same for you. Questioning yourself can give you the opportunity to look at things from a different perspective and might help you make a decision more to your liking that you wouldn't have made if you'd never go so far as to questioning yourself. But in the end, it's not about what is right or what is wrong, it's about you figuring out what works for you and help you get through the darkest of hours.